Next scene. After fixing her hair quickly, Xanna had made her way after the orc, finding him cornered against a rock. "Hey, I thought you said that he was the Tooth Fairy," was the first thing she yelled to Izzy, having been fooled into thinking the orc was the Tooth Fairy, the raptors a few of his minions, and they were on their way to kill Great Father Winter. Her voice could only facepalm herself and growl with irritation. "I hate you," she muttered, sighing at how the important things were always a second thought to her host. With another sigh, she removed her face from her hand and looked back to the ditzy girl. "Go save him from the raptors just so you can get yourself killed?" "Right!" Xanna exclaimed, pulling out her daggers, eyeing the raptors with determination. Quietly, she stealthed herself, moving around in what shadows she could. Sneaking up behind one of the raptors, she raised her dagger high, then brought it down with force, stabbing the creature deep in its back. Having been the weakest of the bunch, it screeched out in pain and fell over dead. Making herself notice with a gracious greeting, the raptors turned away from the orc they'd been after, stared at their dead companion, then glared at Xanna. He was like that when I got here?" she told them sheepishly, slowly hiding her dagger behind her back, hoping the sweat drop on the side of her head remained to go unseen. The raptors stared blankly at her. "Right. Not gonna work. Crap," the girl said, her eyes darting off in her right direction, ignoring the orc's eyebrow quirking up in question at her. "Have I ever told you that you're an idiot?" Izzy managed to throw in just before the raptors all took one step toward the girl. Xanna's eyes widened in horror as she stared at their feet, taking one step back away from them. "If I haven't, then," she went on, completely ignoring Xanna as she bolted and began to run away from the angry raptors, which only made them angrier and chase after her, and leaving the dumbfounded young orc boy behind at his rock. "You're an idiot!" she yelled, jumping high off the black ground in Xanna's mind, steam coming out of her ears as a small form of release of her irritation toward the girl. If that's a small form of irritation, what's a large form of irritation? "Shut up and help me think of something, will ya?" The voice, now back on the ground, sighed, placing her face in her hand and shaking it with annoyance. "Idiot," she muttered under her breath. "Izzy!" Said voice straightened up and placed her left hand on her hip. "First, stop running." In her mind, Xanna nodded to her voice of reason, and in reality, she immediately stopped running, though she was still prepared to do so again if she needed to. "Okay, what now?" she asked, her eyes widening a bit as she heard the raptors catching up to her in the background. "Turn around," Izzy said, using her right pointer finger to make a spinning motion for the girl. Xanna's eyes then widened in horror at her, even more so than they were in reality. "Are you crazy? Just do it!" As far as I'm aware, I wrote that before the Shia LaBeouf thing. Xanna sighed, both in her mind and reality, then reluctantly did as Izzy had told her to do, ever so slowly turning herself around, coming face to face with the raptors just as they had caught up to her. And then they stood up straight. Now the irritatingly short girl came face to chest with the raptors, aggravating her so much that a small steam line or two came off the top of her head. "Any more bright ideas?" she asked, her voice sarcastically, her right eye now twitching a little bit from irritation. My eye used to do that whenever I was annoyed. I think sometimes it still happens. "Yes," Izzy answered simply, nodding to her. "Fight one of the raptors while the orc fights another, then both of you fight 2-on-1 with the third raptor." "But the orc," the girl was pointing out the flaw in her voice's plan as she slowly backed away from the raptors. The damn things were surrounding her like paparazzi on an anorexic model getting caught eating chocolate. Or any form of food for that matter.